Hi guys, welcome back to T's Theses. I hope you guys missed me because I really missed you. I apologize that it's been a while since I put out a video, but I've had some personal things going on in my life, and if you want to find out about that, I did create a community post about a month and a half ago explaining everything. So if you want to find out what's been going on in my life, you can go there and find out, because of course these videos are not about me, they are about the books that I review and the authors. So for today's video, I have for you guys a short story by a UK author by the name of Rob Keeley, and the story is entitled Childish Spirits. So in Childish Spirits, we meet a little girl by the name of Ellie, and Ellie and her brother Charlie and her mother Judith have just moved into Inchwood Manor. And if any of you have watched any of my other videos, you know what I say about houses and manors that have been given names. It never fares well for those who move into them. So Ellie, her mother, and her brother have moved into Inchwood Manor because her mother is sort of an event planner. And the people who have hired her mother want her to fix the house up so that they can make it into kind of a show place or a place for entertainment. And Ellie and her mother and her brother have moved into the servants' quarters. So right off the bat, the first day there, something a little spooky happens. When Ellie and her mother and her brother are getting out of the car, they're taking their luggage out, and she looks up into one of the windows and she sees a little boy looking back at her. And she makes a comment to her mother that, "I thought we were going to be the only ones here." And her mother is like, "Yeah?" So she kind of pushes that aside, and seeing this little boy is not the only unusual things that begin to happen in the house. Late at night, Ellie is woken up to sounds of whistling. She walks through the house and doors are slamming, and unfortunately, it appears that she's the only one that's able to see these things. And eventually she does find out that there is a little boy, a spirit of a little boy by the name of Edward, who's haunting the house. And he's haunting the house in a way that Edward likes to play pranks. And because of course no one else can see this, one of the pranks that he plays on her is he squirts ketchup on her and dumps milk on her, and her mother walks in and sees this mess laying on the floor and Ellie covered in ketchup and milk, and her mother thinks that she's playing a prank herself. And she just kind of loses faith in Ellie in this moment because she doesn't know what's going on with her daughter. But eventually, as we move through the story, Edward and Ellie become friends. And the main reason behind this is there's another spirit in the house by the name of Miss McKendrick. And Miss McKendrick is Edward's governess from when Edward was alive. And she seems to have this issue with Edward, and she's come to take him from the house. But Edward's not willing to go. And Ellie is trying everything in her power to help Edward stay, and Miss McKendrick doesn't like this. And she begins waking up Ellie in the middle of the night and taking her to another world. She's in the house, but it's not the same house that she went to sleep in. And Miss McKendrick lets Ellie know that she does not like Ellie interfering with her plans for Edward. And she finds out Ellie's worst fears, and she brings those into fruition. Like Ellie's laying in a bed and these snakes come out of nowhere. Fortunately, Ellie is able to move past these fears because of her bond that she's created with Edward, and that she wants to help her friend. If he's not willing to move on, then she doesn't feel that he should have to, especially since Miss McKendrick does not seem like she's trying to help Edward out of the goodness of her heart. Unfortunately, Miss McKendrick does get a hold of Edward, and she takes him off into this alternate world that she's created that is the opposite of the world that Ellie lives in. Miss McKendrick has taken Edward to this alternate world under the pretense of casting judgment on him because of the pranks that he's played on people in the house in the past. And we find out that the judgment that she's trying to cast on him is really a pretense to kind of get Edward back for something that his family did to her in the past. So Edward did do things to Miss McKendrick when she was alive. Because he is not only a prankster in death, he was one in real life. But really, she's trying to get him back because he's the last one of his family lineage that she can take revenge on. Fortunately, Ellie is able to figure out a way to help her friend, and she gets him out of the clutches of Miss McKendrick. And Miss McKendrick moves on to the afterlife, but Edward stays. So basically, that is the premise of the book, and I did enjoy reading Childish Spirits by author Rob Keeley. However, there was one little tiny issue that I did have with the book. One part of the story where Miss McKendrick has Edward and she's casting judgment on him. And Edward's sister is able to show up, and she brings forth these people that have lived in a house and seen Edward in the past who have also died. And these people show up as allies for Edward, and they step in because even though he's played pranks on some of these people, he has also been there for others. I would have liked to have heard these people speak up for him. I would have liked to hear them bear witness to some of the good things that he did. But other than that, I think that would have been my only issue with the book. And we do find out at the end of the book, because of something Miss McKendrick does that kinds of destroys the house, it puts Ellie's mother out of a job, and so they have to move on. Fortunately, she is able to move to another job by the company who hired her in the first place. So when they leave, Edward is able to jump inside of a painting that Ellie drew, and he hitches a ride with them, which leads us to two more books in the series entitled The Spirit of London and The Coming of Spirits. So because I did enjoy Childish Spirits, I end up giving this book 4 stars. If you enjoyed hearing about this story, I suggest you pick up a copy so that we can all find out what happens with Ellie and Edward as they continue their journey together. So that concludes today's video. Thank you guys again for sticking around with me until the end. Until next time, you guys, take care, stay safe, and try to do something nice for a stranger so we can all do our part to try to make this world a better place.